This audio presentation of Truth and its Magnificent Simplicity by Brown Landon is brought to you by audioenlightenment.com, copyright 2017, all rights reserved. Dedication. To you. I can dedicate this writing to no one but to you because I have been writing it for you. Into it I have put my whole mind, heart, and soul. My mind into every sentence. Each has been written and rewritten several times to make it as simple and clear as possible. My heart is constantly feeling what your need may be, and hence what to leave out and what to add to each paragraph, so that I may help you the most, just as I would wish you to consecrate yourself to helping me as much as possible if you are writing the course for me. And my soul, in constant continuing prayer every hour of the work, so no matter what your problem or condition, this course will, 1. Help you make your body more responsive to spirit. 2. Help you to expand your consciousness and activities to unfold more of the abundance of earth. 3. Help you to reach out to the greater heights of spiritual consciousness. And 4. Particularly help you to attain the two great goals here on earth, more life and more joy. The writing is new, but the thought and ideals and means and methods come from my 60 years of study and use of truth, in overcoming my own issues and wants, and in personally helping more than 100,000 others to make their ideals come true. Friend of mine, I dedicate this work to you. Brown Landon. Lesson 1. The Genesis of Truth. As dawn is glorious as the sunset glow, so all beginnings are divine, as is the goal of mystic goal at rainbow's end. What is it that we call the truth? It is knowledge and use of the highest idealism and most effective means of man and God, by which you reach the practical results and sublimest attainments of the soul. Such attainment is limitless. It includes material wealth and all it can provide, bodily perfection in form and health, vitality, increasing youthfulness, harmony in dealing with others and happiness in living with others, intimate response to spirit inspiration, illumination of the soul, and sublime consciousness of oneness with all creation and constant communion with the infinite. With so much possible, where should I start? Start only with that which is certain. Start with yourself and God, for you and God are the only two certainties of earth and heaven. Naught else is certain. All present knowledge of a science may be transformed overnight with but one new discovery. Employment and business of an entire industry may be changed in a year by the invention of but one new machine. Billions of wealth may be lost in a panic in a day, cities and farms wiped out by hurricanes in an hour. Nothing is certain except you and God. Waste no thought of anything else. Begin with certainties, my friend, and the result will be certain. Moreover, as you learn to use the powers you have received of God, all changing things will then be added unto you. There is no noble height that cannot be climbed. All triumph may be thine. Ella Wheeler Wilcox. And with which shall I start my study in truth? With God first, or with myself? Let the following answer that question. Imagine that you are traveling in a foreign land, and that one morning you learn that you are 100 miles from a temple shrine. You have heard of its beauty and want to visit it. From where do you start to reach that shrine? Do you try to start at the shrine where you are not? Or do you start from where you are to travel to it? Truth should be the highest and truest education of the soul, and starting with yourself is in line with true education. Pedagogy tells you that in teaching a child you should start with what the child knows, and then lead it on to what it does not yet know. Thou art not separate from thy God. 'Tis but thy thoughts are separate, the thoughts which have not climbed to him. Steps in education are like the rungs of a ladder. I could start you in truth at the top of the ladder and teach you glorious ideals of the great and holy God. That would be starting with statements of God first. As a result of such teaching, you would be lifted and inspired. The ideals would be wonderful and glorious to you. Then a few days later, in trying to apply these ideals to some practical problem in your life, you would realize that the ideals are at the top of the ladder, and that you and the beginning your study of truth are at the bottom, and that there is still a gaping space between. And so, aspiring soul, no matter how urgent your desire, the wisdom of God is clear. It is better to begin with yourself where you are and to mount the ladder of truth rung by rung. Then when you arrive at the top, you will know each step of consciousness up to the infinite, and be certain of your attainment, prepared and ready for rule and dominion over all things. Yet I shall not give you all lessons about you in one place, and all those of God in another. Instead, after the first 5 lessons, I give you 5 lessons on God, to keep the vision of infinite ever before you as you climb. Have faith, my friend, to reach unto the heights. 1,000 unseen hands reach down to help thee to their peace-crowned heights. Lesson 2. You are what? You are spirit, and your soul already knows it, for soul often knows the truth for years before your mind will admit to it. The evidence of your soul is certain. You say, my body, just as you say my hat in speaking of your hat. When you say, this is my hat, you know that hat is not you, but a part of the clothes belonging to you. So also when you say, this is my body, you know that your body is not you, but something which is a part of the means of expression which are given to the soul. Certainly your body is real to you, in the sense that you are manifesting through it and using it. And since your use of your body is so intimate and constant, your conscious mind often confuses you with your body and your body with you. Yet for great attainment, you should recognize that your body is only a part of your means of expression. When you say, my body aches, your statement is in line with your statement, my hat has a dent in it. But the hat is not you. So even though your hat has a dent in it, it does not mean that there is a dent in you. And also when your body has an ache, it does not mean that you have an ache, for the body is not you. Since there is no dent in you, you can easily, with minor care, get rid of the dent or defect of your hat. And since your body is not you, you can, with intelligent love, easily be rid of aches or defects of your body. This applies also to all lacks of things and conditions. This truth and its magnificent simplicity is so significant, it is worth months of daily meditation. Thou art spirit, nothing else, and spirit is the power supreme of all the universe of God, and thou art of that spirit. Lesson 3. Your one and only power. Although I am spirit, yet my muscles do have muscle power, do they not? No, your muscles have no power on their own. Both in truth and science, there is no such thing as muscle power. Take your arm muscle, for example. There is power in your muscle, but it is not muscle power. If a surgeon runs a little lance into your arm under the armpit and cuts the main nerve to your arm muscle, your arm hangs limp. You cannot move even a little finger. All your arm muscles are intact, just as before the nerve was cut, yet they would have no power at all. Then it is nerve power, is it not? No, for if the surgeon cuts the nerve near the spine of the brain, the nerve itself has no power. Then it must be brain power. No, the brain has no power of its own. Every human body from which the soul passes on still has its brain intact in the skull. But when soul no longer manifests through the body, there is no power at all in the brain. There is no such thing as brain or nerve or muscle power. All power is spirit manifesting in and through them. Every change in your body of form, health, beauty of skin, increased vitality, virility, and also youthfulness come only from increased manifestation of spirit. That is why ills of your body are not caused by your thought so much as they are caused by lack of it. This is very important in your application of truth. Do you remember an old-fashioned water wheel, a little stream flowing to it turning the wheel? The stream comes from a lake, a limitless reservoir of water compared to the little stream. But the ground through which the flows is soft, and silt often piles up in the bed of the stream, so that the flow of water is greatly lessened. And when there is so little water that the wheel scarcely turns, you do not blame the nature of the water. Yet you have often blamed the nature of your thoughts when bodily conditions are not what you desire. In case of the water wheel, the trouble is not caused by the water, but a lack of water. So also most ills of your body are not caused by your thought, so much as by lack of thought and spirit. This truth, my friend, will save you years of wasted effort in trying to remedy bodily conditions. Increased manifestation of spirit comes only from increased responsiveness to spirit. If you wish the water wheel to turn with more power, you go upstream, remove the mud, and increase the water flow. So also, you need not waste effort to remedy this or that thought as the cause of all ill conditions, so much as you need to clear the channel for spirit to flow more freely, to make your body more responsive to spirit. Truth is magnificent in its simplicity. Ill conditions are not caused by your thoughts so much as by lack of thought and spirit manifesting in your consciousness. You need not try to improve spirit, it is perfect. But all your soul desires can be attained only by increase of spirit manifesting through your mind and body. Take no anxious thought, O soul, of the power of mind or body. Your power is spirit. Your body is the manifestation of spirit. Increase your responsiveness to spirit, and spirit will flow in perfection. Since thine own power is spirit all supreme, thou need not seek the minor powers. If thou hast now $1,000,000 cash to spend, why crawl in dirt beneath the house to find a long-lost dime? Lesson 4. The limitless, infinite view. Through countless eons of past I have been I, and I am I this hour, and I shall ever be I through other eons of eternity. As God hath placed no limit on eternal time, so he hath placed no limit on all my soul shall manifest. From the practical standpoint, what are the limits of what I can attain? Let us first understand that it is not necessary for me to state that. From the spiritual standpoint, there is no limit to your attainment. That we mutually understand. So I answer your question from the practical standpoint of all you can become and all you can ever possess, enjoy here and now. No limit has ever been found to the changes man can make in himself and for himself. No limit whatsoever. For example, what you can enjoy in life is limitless, ranging from lesser enjoyment of the food you eat and clothes you wear, to the joys of loyal friendship and happiness of harmony, and the uplift of the highest spiritual illumination and most constant communion with infinite life. Likewise, no limit has ever been discovered to what you can become, or what you can possess or attain. And please remember that I am writing not only of attainment of your mind, but of your physical body as well. No physiologist has ever found any limit to man's mind. For one example, I tell you of a 10-year-old son of a Michigan newspaper editor. Whenever he read a column of a newspaper as it came from the press, never before seen by the boy, he could repeat the entire column word for word. No limit has been found to the memory of man's mind. From another angle, many of us have studied man's discoveries and inventions, his visions, ideals, and dreams of what he has desired to attain. No limit to the imagination has ever been found. Then also, I have witnessed human beings walking barefooted on white-hot coals. I know the scientists who supervise such feats, preventing every possibility of trickery. There is unquestionable proof that the bare feet of those who walk on those burning coals suffer no discernible injury whatsoever to skin or nerves or flesh. No limit of the will of mind, but which man can control the feeling of his body, has ever been found. You know of Napoleon, a physical and psychological and neurotic weakling, so great a failure in managing others that he contemplated suicide. Then, almost overnight, by awakened faith in himself, he became the power of Europe and maintained that power until vanity replaced faith. You know of the rail splitter with very little formal education who wrote English, which we now teach in our universities, as example of excellence. You know that the poorest of the boys have become the richest of men. Untalented children have become geniuses. Cursing youth have become great spiritual leaders. No limit to soul capacity has yet been discovered. Next, consider the human body. No biologist has ever yet found any limit whatsoever to physiological changes of the human body. I have seen X-ray proof of broken bone healed overnight. I know of a 25-pound abdominal tumor disappearing in 7 hours, and the fact of its disappearance certified by 9 noted medical men of differing religious faith. I know in my own case of a heart muscle proven by fluoroscopy to be worn to a tiny shred, fully regrown and in normal condition 1 year later. No limit to healing or structural change has been found. I know the human body has been made so responsive to spirit, so spiritualized, that one can work 22 hours a day, year after year, with joyous buoyancy instead of depressing fatigue. I have known man to increase his power 10 times when the soul intensely desired to do something in an emergency. We know of amazing development of the senses, such as that of Helen Keller, and more astounding of Laura Bridgman. Although blind and deaf and dumb from birth, Laura developed her sense of smell so remarkably in 6 months that she could sort 600 dresses, all of the same material and pattern for 600 inmates, and give each girl her own dress, and do it by the sense of smell alone, even after the dresses had been washed and ironed. And Alexis Carrel tells us of a tiny dripping drops of blood building a blood tube seemingly out of nothing, so that the drops might have a tube through which to flow. This miracle is amazing. Blood is nothing but blood, while blood tubes are composed of membrane cells, muscle fiber, and connective tissue cells. Yet, although the blood cells contain not a single trace of any cell of which blood tubes are built, blood cells become divine creators, and in some mysterious way give birth to all the different kinds of cells needed for tubes, and actually build them into tubes. No scientist, biologist, or physiologist has ever found any limit whatsoever to the power or the physiological development, either of the cell of the human body. I have not written of spirit. We know it is limitless. But I have written of physiological changes to give you evidence that even in the physical, no limit to the manifestation of spirit has ever been found, no limit whatsoever to the attainment of all you desire, providing you use all 4 processes: desiring, loving, thinking, and doing. This is the truth and its magnificent simplicity. As man hath found no limit of stars, so he hath no limit to the soul. Thou art forever infinite. Landone. Lesson 5. How can you be like God? I have said ye are gods. Certainly that is definite enough. The source from which you came is now proven by science. What it is, its nature, are now made clear. You come from spirit, and must be like to spirit, and since spirit is active, it must be vibrating spirit. By nature, every vibrating energy is radiant energy. Radiant energy is always shining outward. Radiant energy always shines out from a center. There are many degrees of radiant energy. They range from the lower speeds of light up to the radium rays, alpha and beta, and cosmic rays, up to spirit. Spirit is the sublime radiant energy of the universe. Since it is radiant, it must radiate out from a center. The great spiritual center is what we call God. God is the one great spiritual sun of the universe, radiating spiritual sunshine to all that exists. Since spirit is intelligent and loving and has life and power, the center from which it radiates must be a center of intelligence, love, life, and power. Hence God radiates all intelligence, all love, all life, and all power. You as spirit are radiated from out from the Supreme Center. That is how you are made in the likeness of God. Am I truly like God? Yes, God is spirit, and you are the Spirit of God, radiated into manifestation by God. Since God is the spiritual sun of the universe, you are a beam of spiritual sunshine. A beam of sunshine must be like the sunshine of which it is a beam. It is impossible for it to be anything else. Hence, you are like God, and like all his intelligence, love, life, and power. Light can be naught but like its source, and thou canst not be aught but like thy source, and it is God. This simple truth casts out all fear. For since you are a beam of God's spiritual sunshine, pushed out into radiation by the power of God, all the power of God is moving you out into manifestation. And since you yourself are a spiritual sunbeam pushed out by all the power of God, certainly there is no other power in or on earth, or in all the heavens of the universe, which can interfere or prevent the perfect radiation of your soul from manifesting its fullness and attaining its desires. And if there were any other power, it could not equal that of the great center of all power. Yet some say, I have known of evil influences, like the man next door made ill by thought of an old woman. Yes, but it was not the thought of the woman which affected the man, but his own thought about the thought of that woman, even though his own thought was unconscious. There is no mystery about man being able to dim his own radiation, because he is like unto spirit itself, like unto the power of God himself. But do not split thoughts over this, for you are a radiance of God, a beam of the spiritual sunshine of God. And since you are forever being pushed out by God into manifestation, no thought of any other person has any power at all to influence you or your life. In your life, there is no power of earth or planet, sun or moon so great as your own radiance from the spiritual sun center of the universe. Hold to this simple truth, and your manifestation will be like unto the Spirit of God manifesting in you perfection perfected. The deathless me of me, the spark from that great all-creative fire, is part of that eternal source called God. Wilcox. Lesson 6. God, the miracle-working intelligence. I think and form a kingdom in my mind. I love and make the kingdom real. Whether one studies the mating life of a tiny cell, or the way one sand crystal lays itself down beside another, or how some plants foretell storms and earthquakes and others recognize human beings, one cannot doubt that intelligence is present in every cell and crystal on earth. In truth, we often say, God is all intelligence, and it is good merely to accept that truth. But there is a greater help in knowing that it is true. So I give actual proof of it. I have not space to write of the intelligence of stars and atoms, and anyway your knowledge of life on earth is more definite than that of stars. So it is wiser to give you evidence of manifested forms of life on earth. The British government maintains a garden of weather plants in Kew Gardens in England. This was established 60 years ago by late Edward VII when he was Prince of Wales. The great Australian scientist Baron Nowak was in charge for many years. In these gardens there is a shrub tree called Abrus precatorius. It was brought from India. It means that abrus, used in prayer, precatorius in Latin signifying power. There are several other weather plants, but this one is sensitive to magnetic and electric conditions at great distance, foretells coming atmospheric disturbances before they occur, and it has foretold tidal waves and earthquakes. In many scientific tests, its predictions are proved to be more dependable than scientific work of meteorologists. Old-time scientists say this is not evidence of intelligence, but of instinctive response only. So let us turn to positive evidence of intelligence, such as that of a particular eucalyptus tree whose roots were traced by a scientist. This tree grew on the west side of a solid stone wall built down to a rock ledge, so the roots could not grow through the ledge or wall at the place. Over the wall on the east side was a broken sewer main which leaked water rich with food for plants. The great intelligent something, without any root contact, told this tree that there was much water in the soil on the other side of the wall. So the tree sent its roots for 30 feet south down the west side of the wall until they reached a crack and grew through it. Then the roots turned backward and grew north for 30 feet on the east side of the wall until they reached the leaking drain pipe. Not even the most materialistic scientists can call this anything but intelligence, for intelligence is not but capacity to perceive conditions not known by actual contact and adapt activity and structure to it. Then the intelligence of the trumpet creeper vine is more amazing. It sends out loose shoots along the ground, but only in the direction in which there is a tree or post to which it can climb if it reaches it. Some doubters have said that it is the shadow of the pole or tree which makes the trumpet creeper know in which direction to grow. But even that is evidence of intelligence which is sufficient to perceive shadows which do not fall on the vine or within 20 feet of it. And there is more. One trumpet creeper, which had nothing to grow to, was 20 feet away from an old dead tree trunk. The bark of the trunk was old and loose, likely to fall off any time. For a year, the trumpet creeper made no effort to grow even one shoot toward the tree trunk with the loose bark. Then one day some boys built a fire near the bottom of the tree trunk and the loose bark was burned off. Within 7 days, the creeper began sending trailer after trailer towards the stump. For a year it had intelligence enough to know that the tree trunk with the loose bark would not offer a good support. But as soon as the bark was gone, it knew that the clean stump would offer good support. One cannot call such perception of time and condition anything but intelligence. I cite hundreds of cases of such intelligence. It is more than instinct unless we admit, what some scientists do not wish to do, that instinct itself is evidence of divine intelligence. In other cases there is evidence not only of knowledge of present things, but of the future form, size, and condition of things not yet in existence. The immune amidi, a wasp-like insect, before it lays its eggs, builds a home for them of hard cement chambers. Each tiny chamber is prepared for one egg and is made just large enough so that the ant can store enough food in the chamber for the young to be born from the egg to be laid in that particular chamber. The females are nearly twice as large as the males and need about twice as much food, so the mother insect puts more food in some chambers than in others. Whether the eggs will hatch as males or females depends on the infinitely tiny chromosomes in each egg. Although these are little known even to our wisest scientists, yet the mother insect has such super intelligence that she knows the sex valency of the chromosomes in each egg before she lays it. She knows beforehand how many eggs she will lay, which and how many will hatch males, and how many and which will hatch females, and she never makes a mistake in placing each egg in a chamber fitted in size and with the proper amount of food for a male or female. This is amazing evidence of superintelligence, intelligence which knows the future from facts still unknown in the present. All things are known to the soul. Emerson. Yet there is still greater proof of God's intelligence manifesting in all things. I have not space here to tell of the steps by which eggs become caterpillars and then butterflies. But for my purpose here it is sufficient to point out that in the transformation of some forms of caterpillars to butterflies, such as those of the swallowtail butterfly of Cambridgeshire in England, infinite intelligence determines the ideal pattern of what the butterfly shall be, and stamps a design on the outside of a sac of green juice before any organ of the butterfly even begins to be formed. Before this time, this particular caterpillar has known nothing of any organs except its own organs as a worm or pupa. When its worm life is ended, none of its own organs remain, and it has never in its life come in contact with a butterfly. Yet there is stamped on the outside skin of the worm the shape and form and position of all the organs that will be developed to form a butterfly. How could this design of a butterfly be actually printed, with exact size and position of each organ, on the outside skin of a worm, which has never known such organs unless there is an infinite intelligence which forms the pattern of all things that are to be before they are created? Then there is evidence of the snowflakes. I have hundreds of photographs taken by the late Mr. Bentley, whose work is heralded by scientists, and which was so exceptional that the Meteorological Department of the U.S. government cooperated with him. Snowflakes are not all simple crystal star-shaped forms which you usually see in illustrations. Some are like plates, very much like very tiny and beautiful dinner plates. When the microphotographs of such snowflakes are greatly enlarged, we see designs within these snowflakes. In snowflakes there are scores of designs of things man has made on earth, designs of inkwells, oil lamps, flat irons, pieces of furniture, spools, scenic paintings, all sorts of things man has made or built. Everything man has made on earth has come from some idea, and his idea must have come from some intelligence which forms patterns of things to be before man thinks of them. And these designs in snowflakes of things man has made were frozen into the snowflakes when they were formed high up in the sky before they fell to earth. Since these same designs are inspired into the minds of man, and also frozen into snowflakes, they must come from some great central source of intelligence, for certainly snowflakes do not put the designs into the minds of men, and men cannot climb up the skies to paint tiny designs in the snowflakes a mile above the earth. I have whole empires in my mind, for it is but my channel for God's vast intelligence. There is proof that there is an infinite intelligence which forms all things, even exact measured patterns of them before they actually exist, and this intelligence is ever present, everywhere and forever. God is all intelligence. He permeates all things, even saturates all things, and his intelligence is forever designing patterns of all things to be. Have faith. The intelligence which guides the trumpet creeper or the roots of the eucalyptus can guide you with absolute certainty to the goal you desire to attain. And the highest you can ever desire to attain is already impatterned for you by the infinite. As God's intelligence develops the pattern of every organ for a butterfly of beauty even before the butterfly begins to take form, and stamps its pattern on the outside of a sack of nothing but green juice, so also the same intelligence is already conceiving the pattern of all you desire to attain, and is already pushing them into actuality with irresistible and infinite power, so that naught can ever prevent you from attaining them. There are no mighty walls of rock, nor mountain masses granite strong, that can withstand the power of God's intelligence in me. Lesson 7. God, the ever-unfolding love. I think of life and problems seem unsolvable. I love and find the problems are all solved. There are only two definite statements in the Bible of the nature of God. God is love, and God is a spirit. The love of God is present in all things, for naught but love can give grains of sand and plants, and even continue in love of cooperating with each other. Take grains of sand for one example. If waters flowing down from certain mountains strata deposits particular sand crystals as a layer of sand near the seashore, and 200 million years later, waters of similar chemicals flow to the same seashore region, then the later crystals deposited will lay themselves down in harmony in the same direction as those laid down 200 million years before. We are shaped by what we love. Goethe. Harmony is evidence of love, for naught but love tends to arrange tiny manifested parts such as grains of sand in harmony. Then there is evidence that plants manifest individual love for certain people. The sensitive plant of northern climates will, as you know, instantly roll up its leaves if you but touch them. It does this to protect itself. It fears that you intend to harm it or pick it off or crush it. It felt this fear long before man lived on earth. Such action is due to instinctive impulses, with no proof at all of individual love. But higher orders of sensitive plants, such as those which grow in Panama, roll up their leaves without being touched, even when an animal goes by several feet away. And now note the miracle of individual love of these plants for some people and their trust in them. One scientist experimenting with these plants in Panama became particularly interested in one large plant. Every time he passed, he touched the tip of the leaf or two, because it amazed him to see how quickly the leaves would roll up to draw away from his touch. But after some weeks, this particular plant seemed to know that he never did anything to harm it, so that it no longer feared him, and when he touched the tips of any of its leaves, they no longer rolled up. This was amazing. This plant had given up a habit which, centuries old, this was so amazing that he took other scientists out to see the plant. Then came a more astounding discovery. Whenever any stranger touched the tip of even one leaf, the plant would roll up its leaves, as all sensitive plants have done for ages. Test after test proved that when anyone else, stranger to the plant, touched a leaf, all the leaves rolled up. But when the scientist, who was a friend of the plant, touched it, it did not roll up its leaves. It knew that the friend loved it, and it had learned to respond in love to the friend who would do it no harm. And now, cooperating love. There is a large blue butterfly in England named the monetized arion. It goes through the caterpillar stage as all do butterflies, and when it sheds its third skin, the worm drops to the ground. To understand what then happens, you should know that eggs from which this species of caterpillar are born are always laid on thyme, and only on thyme bushes of whose roots there are nests of ants of a particular species. When this caterpillar drops to the ground, a love affair develops between it and one particular ant. The caterpillar grows a little hole in the 10th segment of its body, from which it secretes a honeydew which ants like as food. After the companionship love begins, other ants gather, for the caterpillar supplies enough for several ants. Then later, when the caterpillar needs a particular kind of animal food to develop into a butterfly, it signals the ant, and the ant picks up the caterpillar and carries it deep underground into the nest of ants. And no matter how many ants have been feeding on honeydew, it will allow no ant to carry it underground except the ant that it loves. Underground for weeks, the caterpillar gives its honeydew to the ants, and the ants feed it little white grubs which the caterpillar needs for food. By the next spring, the caterpillar is ready to change into a butterfly, and it stops giving out any more honeydew. But even though the caterpillar no longer gives the ants any food, the mutual love life is so brotherly that the ants continue to feed it and never harm it, although they will instantly kill and devour any caterpillars which have not lived in their home. Love, and you shall be loved. I could cite for you 100 other examples of brothered love, manifesting in all forms of life. Doubt not, friend, in truth, brotherhood is more than a dream ideal. Unselfish brotherhood love has already been lived for millions of years on earth by many forms of life. Who falls for love of God shall rise a star. Infinite love is ever present. It enfolds and permeates even crystals of sand. It makes plants learn to love man and respond to his love. It impels brotherhood love between animals as different as caterpillars and ants. Trust such love, existing everywhere, enfolding all. Love is forever enfolding you. In this love you live, move, and have your being. There is no love lack of your life which cannot be overflowing filled, for you are in 10,000 times oceans of love, reaching from the farthest star to the innermost core of earth. Respond with love, O soul, and all the joys of all the universe are yours. 'Tis by response you win and hold the love of friends, and love of birds and flowers of trees and cells and stars and atoms too. Lesson 8. God, the all-inclusive power. All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Matthew 28:18. It is simple to state that God is all power, but to know that God is all power of all the universe, all energies of grains of sand, stars and atoms, angels and man, lifts the soul to mountaintops. And nothing hinders use of truth so much as affirming that all power is of God, and then mistakenly living as though man energies were separate from God. Confuse not thy soul, my friend, with thoughts of separation. All powers are of God, and all are one. Yes, even sound is God's energy, and so are electricity and alpha and beta rays. All manifestations are the one supreme energy we call God, all everywhere, every present. Moreover, you live in all these powers. You live even in a world of sound which you never hear, for your poor ears never hear a tone which vibrates more than 23,000 times per second. Yet the songs of bats are sung in tones which vibrate 50,000 times a second, and song tones of crystal stones vibrate 500,000 times a second. These tonal sounds which surround you and penetrate every cell of your body, sounds you never hear, have mighty power and work amazing miracles. The tones of a little pebble of laminated crystal can increase activity of some lower forms of life 3 and 4 times without fatigue. The timbre of some tones can disintegrate any bone of your body, and the resonance of any other tones can produce such harmony among the cells of your body that their energy is multiplied twofold. There are also infrared rays which we take photographs in absolute darkness, and cosmic rays passing through your body every second, with power so great you cannot conceive of it. Then there are the high electric waves which are mysterious until you remember that silence is infinitely active. Touch a wire carrying 200 volts of electricity and the current shocks your body, throws it across a room. Step it up to 25,000 volts and it kills. And then step up frequency and potential again, and 1 million volts passing through your body give new life and amazing energy to its cell. This lower current kills, the higher gives life. Remember this, it is slowness of activity which ages you and even kills. Increase activity and you return to youthfulness and augmented life, because the greater the activity, the more it is like spirit itself. There is no puny planet, sun, or moon which can control the God in us. Wilcox. All these energies are powers of God for you to use. You are like a drop of water in the mighty stream of Niagara, billions of drops in front of you, billion behind you, billions on each side, with all the power of all them moving you irresistibly to the goal of all you desire to attain. Then there are the eternal super rays of power of mind and love of life, manifesting forever in you. All powers of God, accept this truth now, for as soon as you realize that the powers of light and sound and cosmic rays, as well as the power of mind and love and life, are all manifesting in harmony, then you know that since all are of God, all are helping you. Then you know that all power, like a mighty Niagara of spirit of all the universe, is carrying you on to your goal, and that nothing can withstand that power. My strength is forever the power of God's divinity in me. Lesson 9. God, the radiant radiancy. I am the bright and morning star, Revelation. To understand God is so very easy that many people miss the understanding all their lives. It is said that God is the light of the world. And in spiritual fact, this is true, for God is the spiritual sunshine, as well as the spiritual sun center, which is forever shining spiritual radiance out into all the universe. God is radiant. This is the first truth of God, which is self-evident to man. And since you are created in his likeness, your soul is radiant, like God, forever shining outward. God's radiance shines everywhere and never stops. It moves out through billions of miles of space and continues forever through eternities of time. So also, your radiancy never stops. It is eternal. And since the radiant power of God is all-powerful, pushed out by all the power of God, you also are impelled in all your soul does by all of God's power. Light proceedeth e'er from light, and cosmic ray from cosmic ray, and I from God. It cannot be otherwise. Radiancy reveals three great laws of God. First, no radiant energy can turn back upon itself. In this, all scientists and spiritual thinkers agree. If radiant energy could turn back on itself, it would instantly destroy itself, and light would become darkness. If energy could turn back on itself, it would also destroy the body through which it manifests. If the light of the electric bulb on my desk could turn its rays back unto itself, it would destroy even the bulb itself. This reveals an absolute law of life for you. Draw in, you shrink. Shine out, and you expand. The first is hell, second heaven. Now study and apply the second law of radiancy. If you mistakenly try to turn your power back onto yourself, your effort is contrary to and opposed to God's radiancy in you. Yet selfishness does try to do this, and also you try to do it, what is called concentration, and whenever you try to draw or attract things or conditions to you. With each such effort you draw energy inward, and as a result your soul soon shrinks the radiation of its own consciousness of itself. In our early understanding of truth years ago, I and others taught that we should draw to us all we desire. We now know more of truth and know that although the soul, by effort, can draw things to it for a time, such effort is contrary to the radiancy of God, which forever moves onward. Hence it is contrary to the nature of man's soul. Experience also proves that many earnest souls, after drawing the things they want to them, later find that they can demonstrate less and less year by year. It is only with God that all things are possible. To work with God is to be radiant. Be radiant with the radiancy of God, and you become so limitlessly great that your activity is like to God's. Now the third law. By radiancy you reach out and enfold all you want. All you desire is enfolded as yours. There is no limit whatsoever to all that you can enfold and make thine own. Lesson 10. God, the one moving power. Why, he who knows and knowing never once forgets the pedigree divine of his own soul can conquer, shape, and govern destiny. Wilcox. Often in the Hebrew language, the root meaning of a word is repeated in 2 or 3 forms in a sentence when a strong emphasis of its meaning is definite. Thus, in ancient Hebrew, one can find the phrase, activating the activity actively. So in Genesis, in the statement that man is made like unto God, each of the words translated, made, image, and likeness, contains a meaning of activity. God activated man in an active image, like unto the active activity of God. It is in activity that you are like unto God. Since your activity is like God's activity, you cannot attain supremely unless you manifest your activity in the same way that God manifests his activity. So far as your source of power is concerned, God is the only moving power, radiating you out in activity. And so far as your life is concerned, you are the only moving power, radiating God's power for your attainment. Because the statement is often misunderstood, it is sometimes difficult for beginners to believe that their activity is like God's activity, and that they possess all the power of God. Most certainly your soul is not a little spiritual receptacle in which you can reach and from which you can pull out all the power of God, but you have all the power in the sense that 1, that you are the radiation of God, forever being radiated out from God, and 2, that God is forever pushing you out into activity which is never separated from his radiation. The significance of this simple truth is so overwhelming that one may read this statement 1,000 times and yet fail to comprehend all it signifies. You are forever being pushed out by all the power of God, and hence all the power of God is in you and back of you, forever pushing you out into activity. God is the moving power of his life, and in your life radiating God's energy. Hence things and conditions will not move to you. It is you who must move to the things and conditions you wish to attain. Understanding this will transform your life. Power is inevitable whenever the soul of man responds to the Spirit of God. Whenever you desire anything or condition, money or other material thing, health or happiness, move out to it and enfold it. Truth is very simple. You are the moving power. If you are in New York, no matter how strongly you hold the thought that you are in Chicago, Chicago will not move to you. To be in Chicago, you must move either your body or your consciousness to Chicago. So it is with all other things and conditions you desire. You are the moving power. Move out to them. Your divinity resides in the truth that you are radiant as God is radiant, pushed out by all the radiant power of God, forever continuing, never failing, and that you are the moving power of your soul, as God is the moving power of his existence. All you desire can be attained by working with God. That little word "with" is very important in the statement that all things are possible with God. Move in accord with God, and all things are possible. Power is the spirit of the infinite, turned into use by man. Lesson 11. Simplicity of process. Use all your hidden forces, do not miss the purpose of this life, and do not wait for circumstance to mold or change your fate. Wilcox. All great minds of all ages, when they have ultimately found truth, have found it in a very simple way. Even the processes of attainment are so simple, they can be stated in a few words in the following. Whatsoever you desire and love and think and do determines all you can become, all you can ever possess and enjoy, and the highest illumined consciousness you can ever attain. This is the alpha and omega of all process of attainment, and includes but 7 simple basic factors. 4 of them are activities, 3 others are results. The 4 activities are to desire, and to love, and to think, and to do. The 3 results are all you can become, all you can possess and enjoy, all you can attain of the highest consciousness. All expression comes by use of these 4 processes of attainment: to desire, to love, to think, to do, and by them you use all powers of man and God. Commit to memory the sentence which begins with the words, whatsoever you desire and love and think and do. Repeat it thoughtfully and prayerfully whenever you have a free second, at least 3 or 4 times a day. Whenever a problem seems impossible to solve, or whenever any person or book tends to make truth complicated and difficult to understand, then streamline it. Streamline it with this: all I can ever become, all I can ever possess and enjoy, all that I can ever attain, even of the highest consciousness of spirit, I can attain by God's simple process of desiring, loving, thinking, and doing. These processes of attainment are scientific, proven by biology and psychology, and even by laws of mechanics. And they are spiritual, the same 4 activities which Christ emphasized as essential in working miracles. Without any qualification whatsoever, they are the only active process of all attainment, and there is no possibility of failure when all 4 are used. The result of their use range all the way from possession of minor things to the richest abundance of earth, to illumination and intimate contact with the infinite. The order of using the process is forever the same. First, desire what you want, intensely enough to awaken soul power so that it becomes active. Then, love so much what you desire to attain that you will reach out to unfold it, instead of merely trying to draw it to you. Third, think so clearly of the path that you want, that you will not wander on bypath, and think so completely of God's power that you shall have faith to receive. And lastly, do whatsoever is necessary, and if you desire and love and think as indicated above, you will not be able to prevent yourself from doing all that is needed to attain whatsoever you want. These processes are so simple that at first you may think that they are not all that is necessary, yet true truth is complete in simplicity, sublime in clarity, comforting in brevity, intimate in usability. Commit to memory the sentence above, beginning with first desire, then love, third think, and lastly do. Do not repeat these phonographically, but treasure them, desiringly, lovingly, and thoughtfully, always feeling instantly ready to put them into action. By these 4 processes you transform yourself from what you are to all you desire to become, and thus all other things you desire shall be added unto you. My soul is like a great Niagara, which hath its source in God, and flower with mighty power through all I do today. Lesson 12. Processes Christ emphasized. So long as I cannot perform the great miracles of Christ, I shall accept the means he used and doubt them not. Christ emphasized the same four processes of attainment previously given in these lessons. First, Christ emphasized desire, but we have missed his emphasis because the word Christ used for desire is often very weakly translated, merely as ask. The word Christ used means to desire with all your soul and spirit you to crave wherever your soul desires. It is translated crave in Mark 15:43. This illumines Christ's greatest promise, if two agree, whatsoever ye desire shall be done for you. For your own help, each time you read the word ask in any verse of Christ's teaching, realize that it means to desire with all your soul. Secondly, Christ so emphasized love that in his teachings it includes all the laws of God and the prophets. And there is need of loving to attain what you want, for desire alone often fails to focus soul effort. Desire must be refined by love before your soul will focus its power, and unless there is a love for a thing or condition, both mind and body refuse to act. For example, no matter how much you desire food this minute, your body will hold back and your mind will not make any effort at all to get moldy bread or spoiled meat, or a cup of coffee which smells like onions and tastes like sour potatoes. Do not miss the significance of love as a focusing power. You do not love moldy bread. You do love good bread. It is love for the thing or condition you want which focuses power so that mind acts to get what you want. Many a soul misses 1,000 things it desires merely because it fails to love what it wants. And perhaps you have missed much in life because you have not loved what you wanted enough to reach out spiritually to embrace and enfold as yours. Then third, Christ emphasized the power of thought. And there is great power in thought. Although 70 years ago, when we were just beginning to understand truth, we made the mistake of assuming that mere mentalized thinking would solve all problems. Christ puts us right on this. Take no anxious thought for the morrow, but let thine eye be single, to light the path directly to what you want. Mind is the headlight, to light the way immediately ahead and illumine the path to unity with the infinite. Mind is also the steering wheel to guide you aright hour by hour to the goal you desire to attain. And fourth, Christ emphasizes action, and after many years we recognize the value of this emphasis of Christ. Today, both psychology and illumined truth recognize that desire and love and thought must be carried into action to attain actual results. Christ emphasized action. His miracles of healing individuals took place only after the person did something. Sometimes he openly commanded a person desiring to be healed to do something before the healing took place. One man was commanded to bathe in a pool, another to mix mud and spittle and rub it in his eyes, another to pick up his bed. There is a reason. Spirituality is spirit in action. Thinking one is spiritual is not being spiritual. There is no real spirituality of your body, your mind, or life unless spirit is expressing itself in action. Christ emphasized the four processes of attainment. Whatsoever ye desire, it shall be done. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Let thine eye be single, and believe that thou hast, and do the works of the Father. I find not greater than the Christ in ideals taught and methods used. They are sufficient unto us. They heal the sick and raise the dead, and lift the soul on high. Lesson 13. Truth as practical as mechanics. All love is mathematically just as much as the two sides of an algebraic equation. Emerson. The four processes emphasized by Christ are as practical as mechanics. Compare the four operating essentials of your automobile: engine, clutch, steering wheel, and transmission gear. First, the engine provides the power. Second, the clutch links up the power to other parts. Third, the steering wheel guides your use of the power. And fourth, the transmission gear transmits the power to the rear wheels to make your car move. And again, first, as the engine provides car power, so desire provides soul power. Without it, you would not even bother to think about what you want. Second, just as the clutch links up power to other car parts, so love of what you want links up your power to the activities needed to attain what you want. Third, just as your steering wheel guides your car, so thought guides your use of power that you shall keep to the road, not wreck the opportunities of your life. And fourth, just as a transmission gear transmits the engine power to the rear wheels to make your car go places, So your action transmits your power of desire, and you attain what you want and never fail to attain it. First certainty. Omit use of any one of your car's essential, your car stands still or runs wild and smashes. Second certainty. Use all four factors and you arrive where you want to be and in the condition you desire, so also with your soul's effort. If I but vision truth sublime, I dream far dreams for till born, but let me live the truth, and I become a God transcending man. Lesson 14. You are chosen. The time of the ages hath come for thee to enter thy kingdom of power. Why are you here on earth at this time? You are here now because you are chosen to live your life on earth in these particular years. This gives point in your life, since you are chosen to live at this particular time. The great infinite must have some reason for wanting you here in these years. This is significant because billions of souls have been born to earth in ages past. Billions more will be born in earth in future times. Since the infinite has brought you to earth in these particular years, there is something definite for you to do. You are born to see a new era of human values rise out of the strife of the past. You are chosen to live in this age to fulfill the two commandments of loving God and loving one another. You are chosen also for your own greatest good to live joyously and attain greatly, for no matter what the world conditions, these years are the years of the greatest opportunity man has ever known on earth. You can attain more abundance than man has ever had before, possess more vitality and youthfulness, love more and be loved more than any previous age on earth. You are chosen to attain the greater heights, more constant and inspiring, and more intimate contact with the infinite than man has ever known in all the past. You are chosen to be present at birth of a new age. You are chosen to live at this time to bear the holy chalice of the baptism of a new life for man on this earth. I accept the call of the infinite, for it knows no other soul of earth can do the work I am chosen now to do. Lesson 15. God in you. I have said, ye are gods. Psalm 82:6. You are taught today that God dwells within you, although you know that all of God is not within you. Yet the deeper truth is true, for Christ said, I and my Father, and he in me, and I in you. And others wrote, if we love one another, God dwelleth in us. There are, however, very confusing and widespread teachings of God in you, the kingdom of God in you, and heaven in you. Two of these are true, the other is not, for Christ never taught that heaven is within you. Christ's teaching is very definite. It is the kingdom of God which is within you, and the kingdom of heaven. Heaven is expanding activity, reaching out infinitely. It is not heaven, but the kingdom which is within you. The word kingdom is the translation of the word basilica, which means a strong fort or a strong center. It is the strong center of the kingdom of God which is within you, and the strong center of the ever-expanding activity of heaven which is ever within you. Heaven is different from the strong center within you. The word translated heaven is Ouranos, O-U-R-A-N-O-S. It means infinitely expanding activity. It reaches out to all you attain now and forever. Christ is definite about this meaning of heaven. So is Genesis. In the revised version of first chapter of the Bible, marginal notes reveal that the word translated heaven should be translated expansions or upheavings. Heaven is the infinite expansion of spirit, which reaches out from where you are to all you long to be. Every activity, every thought, every ideal that expands your consciousness or your love or your activities or your attainment is a touch of heaven to you. Christ tried to make this very clear, but his hearers did not understand, as many of you have not understood today. Christ tried again and again, using the simplest illustration. At one time he said, heaven is like unto a mustard seed, and he who has been farmers know how rapidly the progeny of a mustard seed can spread. The seeds of one little plant can cover an entire field with mustard plants in one season. And again Christ said, heaven is like unto leaven, and leaven is yeast. Our mothers know how it expands. A little yeast in flour and water overnight, the yeast may expand so the dough runs over the top of the pan, even to the table and the floor. Patiently and repeatedly, Christ tried to make it clear that heaven is infinitely expanding activity. All joys you will ever attain will come from expanding your thoughts, your love, and your activities. And hell is the opposite, the shrinking of your life. It may be lessened activity because of ill health, or lessened love by loves of friends, or lessened lack of expansion by lessened attainment. Truth in its simple magnificence is clear. Heaven is ever-expanding activity, expanding out beyond you, even to the stars. But the kingdom of heaven is within you, and the kingdom is the spiritual basilica, the strong center of power. The kingdom is the center of infinite expansion. The kingdom is within you. And by its power you create heaven, and that power is God in you. O look not thou afar, his light forever burneth in man's soul like a star. Ali Makari. Lesson 16. You in God. You live and move and have your being in God. God is the all-inclusive power of all the energies of the universe. You live in all of them, in all energies of what is called matter, in all energies of the ether, in all energies of all stars, in all energies of spirit, in God himself. Moreover, there is no possibility that you can ever get out of any of them. You are in them, and no cell of your body, no thought or feeling of your soul can ever get out of the energies and powers of God. They surround you infinitely, as certainly as water surrounds each drop of water deep in the sea. They penetrate to every cell as certainly as X-rays penetrate to every cell of soft tissue. They saturate you as certainly as sunshine saturates air. You live in all energies of the universe. You cannot get out of any one of them. You cannot even get out of the world of sound. Even if you seek the most silent room of a soundproof laboratory, tremendous sound waves will continue pulsating around you and through you, working miracles in every organ, every nerve, every cell of your body, every minute. Even the walls of a silent room are singing songs. Your ear cannot hear them because they vibrate 20 times higher than any sound your ear hears, yet they are ever present. Or walk in the woods, and songs of stones surround you and penetrate to every cell. Walk in the dark of night, and rays of light you cannot see, and cosmic waves you cannot feel surround you and saturate you, vibrating through you constantly every moment. And more, you live in worlds of vibrating thought of mind, in worlds of loving love, in worlds of youthful life. How silly to think that you can tire out or become fatigued and need many hours of rest. All energies saturate you. There is no hindrance to your constant use of them except your lack of responding to them. Response is the prelude to inspiration. Inspiration is the inflow of power. All power is forever inspiring you, penetrating you, saturating you, never absent from you for a second. You live forever in oceans of mind, in limitless oceans of love, in infinite oceans of life and spirit. Surrounded by all energies of God, there is naught to fear. The psalmist has said, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." But I say more. You are neither apart from God nor under his shadow. You are in the sunshine of God forever. The powers of God are over you and under you and all around. They are forever protecting you and giving you peace, love, joy, and power. All powers of the universe surround me, waiting to be used. A drop in an ocean of water need not pray unto God to be wet, and I, in oceans of energy, am laved forever with power. Open my soul to inspiration limitless, and all the powers of earth and heaven flow unto me. Lesson 17. God's first law to man. Give heed unto the laws of God. They are not means within themselves, but signposts absolute unto the means that never fail, the means God used in all creation. Landone. 100 interpretations are written of the Bible's story of creation, yet not one of them emphasized the one great law of that creation. It is so important that God stopped the sequence of the story 5 times to repeat the law, and in all of truth we have failed to realize its great significance. Each thing created is given power to produce after its own kind, whether grass or tree, fish or sea, or animals or land or man. Each is given power to create. Only after its own kind. Be wise, O soul, no matter how sincere you are, nor yet how much you pray. You cannot plant tomato seeds and raise a crop of hay. And this is true of all creation and of all powers of God given unto man. You are a soul of God. You have the powers of God, the powers of mind, love, life, spirit infinite. The first activity of man or God is to bring order out of chaos. Now mark this well. Mind, love, life, and spirit are of God, and must be used as God has created them for us, each to produce results only after its own kind. You know you cannot grow apple trees from tomato seeds, nor pumpkins from the seed of wheat. Why then do you still try to make mind produce love, or love produce spirit, or life produce love? Be wise, and use each power of soul according to the law. 'Tis thus you shall become a God, creating order in your life and heaven too, ever reaching out beyond your dreams. Each thing or power produces only after its own kind. Use mind to vision what you wish to attain, to light the path you are to follow, to make your choice of quality. Use love to produce after its own kind. Never selfish, reaching out to give, it harmonizes. Do not confuse love with mind. Mind is ever reaching out for knowledge to take back unto itself, for ideas and plans and ideals, always to enrich itself. Mind alone always reaches out to take what it attains into itself. Love is different. Love is always reaching out to give out from the soul. Be wise, O soul. Remember God's first law, each power after its own kind. Life is another power of God and of the soul, the vital push of life producing after its own kind to multiply life. The fourth great power of soul is spirit. It both inspires man and lifts him up to God. Think much of this first law of God. Each power of soul producing only after its own kind. I shall be wise as seeds of grass, and flowers of field and forest trees. Each power I use shall now produce its miracles for me, each one, by God's first law, as certain as eternity. Lesson 18. Repent to be made whole. I turn away from cellars dark and damp. I turn unto the mountains into the sun. In our New Testament, the word often used, translated saved, means to be made whole, to be made holy. And Christ went through Galilee, saying, Repent, and be made whole, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. True repentance is neither secret weeping over errors nor public profession of sin, for the word translated repent means to face about, to turn around. It is significant. The repentance Christ taught is a right-about face from limited life to the fullness of life. And Christ was the first on earth to teach that being made whole is the result of a fuller expression of the soul. All other religions of all ages, whether of ancient Cathay or of Egypt or India, taught that salvation comes by repression, and that spirituality is a result of not thinking or feeling this or that, and not doing either. Then came Christ with a new ideal, that life should be more abundant, that his joy might be fulfilled in us. Christ teaches that repentance is turning away from repressions and limitations of the past to the expanding freedom of the present and future. Other religions through the ages had taught man to repress the fullness of life in order to be saved. Christ taught man to turn round about, to express the fullness of life in order to be made whole. Accept, O soul, the repentance taught by Christ. Turn from despondence to hope, from all lack of life to full possession of all you need, from loneliness to love, from the hell of repression to the heaven of expression. Do you not know, my friend, that ills of life persist, because you are forever looking down to cellars damp and dark? Repent, look upward to the sun. Turn every hour toward thy kingdom of heaven. Lesson 19. Ye must be born again. Skeletons never give birth to a new life. All efforts of yesterday are but skeletons today, and your thoughts of yesterday are the stones of their tombs. Yet you are a living soul divine, with the right of choice. You can choose to wall yourself up with your skeletons and shrivel up, or you can choose to come out into the glorious light of today and be born again. What is life in the tomb giving you? In physical activity you are not living by spirit, for your body is very slowly dying year by year. And your wealth in the tombs is dying, or already dead and gone. Even your attainments of the past are petrified and cannot move you on to greater life. To live, ye must be born again, and of spirit. If reborn of mind only, you will still fear to let go of things in the tomb, fear that you may not have the power to create new youthfulness and new wealth, 1,000-fold greater than the old. If you are reborn of mind only, you may be so bound to the old tintypes of memories of past loves that you will not see the new living love waiting at the gate. Why waste thy time, looking under the bed for old bedroom slippers when God hath given thee wings? Reborn of spirit, there is no more fear, no doubt of present or future, and all things and conditions are transformed. And you yourself are lifted up from earthbound bounds to the freedom of the infinite. As caterpillar worms destroy their organs old, to be reborn as butterflies of joy, so I wipe out old thoughts of mine, and am reborn, a soul transformed. Lesson 20. Forgive thy friends. Thou harmest not others when thou forgivest not. It is thyself whom thou dost harm. Forgiveness is the balanced center of the 7 great truths of our Lord's Prayer. I do not here discuss the difference of debts and trespasses as in Matthew and sins as in Luke. The emphasis here is on forgiving. The word which Christ used, the one that is translated forgive, means to let go of and to let alone. It is translated let alone in each one of the 4 Gospels, and that there is no hint of evil or wrong. It means only to let it go free. The truth is simple and clear and usable. You cannot go forward without letting go of the past. You cannot hold on the doorknob of the front door and also motor away 100 miles. To grow from what you are to what you wish to become, forgive every resentment of others and all regrets and memories of disappointment and failures. Let them go. It is not things of people you most forgive. It is memories of things and peoples in your mind. Forgetting is of mind. Forgiving is of love. Forgive first, and it is easy to forget. And then forgive thy friends. Let them go free. Continue loving them, but bind them not, or you will bind yourself so much you will lack the freedom to move on to greater heights. O soul, you need not hold on to any regret or resentment of the past. You have the power to create anew. Each morning I whisper to the sun at dawn, and rise with it to life sublime. Each night I whisper to the star, and rise to dwell an hour with it in peace out in the Milky Way. Lesson 21. Love others as you love yourself. Often one little word is the key to a chest of limitless treasure of truth. Such is the word as in Christ's command, love thy neighbor as thyself. Have you loved much and been disappointed? Have you loved and sacrificed so much that it has not been appreciated? Have you loved and given so much that those you have helped have even turned against you? The cause of all such reactions is not love. The cause is not loving according to the Christ law. Christ was wise as well as loving. He tells us to love others as we love ourselves. One Christmas time I asked 12 friends whom I knew had loved much and sacrificed much to follow the law of Christ to love others, not less nor more than they love themselves, but as they love themselves. They agreed to follow the law. Each time each one gave a gift to another, he also gave himself something he greatly desired, and each of his deeds of help to others was balanced by doing something good for himself. The result was amazing not only in their joy, but in a deeper understanding of others and in the real help others received. You need not strive with problems of love. Love thy God with all thy heart and soul, and love yourself enough that you shall know how to love others as you love yourself. Then you shall enter into the heaven of love. My heart is open wide tonight for stranger, kith and kin. I would not bar a single door where love might enter in. Lesson 22. It shall be done if ye pray together. Thy soul's desire, beloved friend, is born of might, spirit, power, and will come true in mystic union born of love. There have been failures, yet they need not be. There have been 10 millions and more of affirmations of peace during the last half-century, and yet there is war. Another millions of affirmations of abundance, and yet 1/3 of our people are in want. And during the last 2,000 years, billions of prayers and numbers were of any importance not yet answered. The facts are true, even though they are a sad indictment of our lack of using truth aright. But friend of mine, be not confused, but rather seek the truth with fearlessness to find the cause. To learn the truth I pray. O dwell in me, great God divine, and let me share thy wisdom full sublime, to tell me why our efforts sometimes failed. And to my soul I say, be still, my soul, and calm all fear. Be still, God's host of love are near. Be still, my soul, and listen well. The truth is absolute. Christ's promises are certain. In what, then, have we missed? First, we have lacked love in prayer. Too many affirmations and too many million prayers have been of the mind and for the self alone. This has not been wise, for God is love and is approached by love and responds to love. Then second, we have lacked power in prayer. You cannot break a bundle of frail sticks, although you can easily snap each one alone. There is great strength in unity, and unity of prayer often multiplies its power a millionfold. The one great promise, the greatest promise of the Christ, is based on unity. If two of you agree as touching anything on earth which they shall desire, it shall be done for them. At first you may not understand why Christ requires that two or more agree in prayer, but other promises of Christ also depend on two or more. For when 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, where am I in the midst of them? What is the significance of 2 or more? We find the answer in the nature of God himself. God is love, and whenever 2 or more sacredly agree in prayer, each gives up something of his self-desire, and thus the prayer is more of love, like to the love of loving one another as I have loved you. Trust thou the sacred promise given. If 2 agree, it shall be done. For 3 by God himself in heaven. Whatever thy soul doth most desire, I too in prayer desire with thee, in sacred prayer with thee. Desire, O soul, desire in prayer, for now the mystic power is here. O pray with me, and 'twill be done complete and whole, for it is promised us, if 2 agree, it shall be done. It is simple. God is love. Love reaches up to love. All prayers of love and agreement are fulfilled. If 2 of you agree, it shall be done. I stand no more alone, but pray with thee, my friend, and with the 100,000,000 souls that join with us to hear our prayers into the throne of God. Lesson 23. Conceive whatever you want in spirit. Though desolate the way may seem, command thy fate, send forth thy thought, create. Since God and you are spirit, efforts to attain will ultimately fail unless they are first conceived in spirit. Truth in its magnificent simplicity clears up the contradiction about materiality. It is regrettable that many spiritual leaders do think more of materiality than physicists and chemists do. Scientists know that all matter is not but energy, nothing but spiritual, and they work by that great truth. But if you are denying matter, then you are thinking of matter, otherwise you would not bother to deny it. And so long as you think of hindering matter, you do not think that all is spirit. Mind's excuses do not excuse, for if you are thinking of a dangerous lion hidden in your bedroom, or even of the ghost of a lion, then you are thinking of 3 obstacles: the materiality of the condition, the hindrance, and the illusion, so also in your thought of matter. Accept the truth and of science too. All things are whirling spirit. Each tiny particle of wood or stone is not but energy in space. All matter is composed of molecules moving 2 billion times a second in naught but empty space. Each molecule is not but atoms whirling at titanic speeds in nothing but empty space. Each atom is but whirling points of energy whirling around a central point of energy in nothing but space. There is nothing but energy in space. Since all is energy, there is no matter to deny. You need not even think that matter is illusion, for science proves that matter is all energy, all spirit power. So conceive what you want in spirit first. then it is in accord with its own nature, with the Spirit of God, and with yourself, for you are spirit. With such accord it must come true. This truth transforms all efforts of the soul because it frees your soul from all thought of being limited. A young man and wife had planned a little home, but with uncertain income they could not secure loans to build. For 10 months they held the thought of the home they wanted. They drew plan after plan, but each was limited by thoughts of how much material cost. Then one night the young man gave up. It seemed hopeless. He tore up all their plans and burned them. That set his ideal free, for there was no longer any need of thinking of material and what they cost. So he began to plan an ideal home, free of all limits, conceived in spirit, ideal and free. In 3 months the plan was finished, and one day a stranger called to look at the rented house in which they were living, intending to buy the place from the owner. Accidentally, or led by spirit, the stranger glanced at the plans and asked about them. Conceive in spirit, and its fire doth transform thee too, as well as that which is conceived. And so the young man was transformed by his enthusiasm as he explained his new plans. And the stranger said, "Well, that's practical, a safe investment. I can sell homes like that as a start. We'll build one for you and 10 others to sell." Conceive in terms of material things, and your conception is so limited it may not even come to birth. Conceive in spirit, and the power of God himself will push it out into actuality for you. As farmers tilling ground or plant their seeds in earth, so I, of spirit born, will plant my wants in God. Lesson 24. Sustain what you desire by faith. When I have faith, I find myself 3/4 along the way unto the goal I want to reach. St. Paul says, faith is the substance of things, and Christ often said, thy faith hath made thee whole. More amazing is the promise, if you have faith, and doubt not, ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and it shall be done. And you think that you have never yet seen a churchman or truth leader remove a mountain this way? Doubt not, 1 hour of faith is worth a year of questioning thought. I do not pretend to know what Christ had in mind, but I do know that the word translated mountain is oros, O-R-O-S, and that its meaning varied before Christ lived, while he lived, and after he lived. Again I say, I do not know Christ's thoughts, but this I know. The word translated mountain might have been translated yellow earth or gold earth, for even today we have words in the Latin language ore or oro, meaning gold. Also it might have been translated titanic obstacle. I have faith that Christ never made a statement which was not spiritually true, and that if you have faith and doubt not, you also can say unto the most titanic obstacle of life, be thou removed, and it shall be done. Then also the faith which Christ taught meant something very different from our weak mentalized faith of today. Christ used the word pistos, P-I-S-T-O-S. And we have 3 proof of its meaning. First, its root pist, P-I-S-T, comes from the Sanskrit pish, P-I-S-H, of 8,000 years ago. It then meant pushing, throbbing action. Second, in all other writings of the time of Christ, the word pistos meant constant, regular, rhythmic, harmonious activity resulting in power. It was then used to designate the action of threshers who move rhythmically and regularly, 20 or more working in harmony side by side, threshing grain by the old hand method of using flails. Third, we ourselves have 2 English words derived from pistos. One is piston, the other is pestle, P-E-S-T-L-E. Piston is the name we give to the moving rod of an engine. A piston moves in constant, regular, rhythmic, and harmonious action, producing power. Pestle is the name of the moving bar of a stamp mill, which also moves rhythmically up and down with great power. The persistence of this meaning is one of the unexpected mysteries of the ages. Many words change meaning from century to century, some even in a few years, but words derived from pish and pist have had the same meaning whether 8,000 years ago or today. It seems that the spirit of the universe consecrated this word pistos, never to be changed in meaning. The faith of Christ was the pulsating throb of spirit, constantly and rhythmically and harmoniously active. Such faith has power. It differs from our mentalized faith as Niagara differs from a stagnant creek. The faith Christ taught will work miracles for you. If your mind and heart and body are continuously and rhythmically throbbing with action to attain what you desire, then nothing on earth can keep you from attaining it. With Christ's faith ye can remove mountains. All the scholastic scaffolding falls as a ruined edifice before one single word, faith. My faith that gives me hope tonight creates realities tomorrow morn. Believe in God, in thine own self believe. All that thou hast desired, thou shalt achieve. Lesson 25. Breathe into it the breath of life. The Spirit of God hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. Job 33:4. Not you create for yourself or others will live as constant health and continuing abundance unless you breathe into it the breath of life. Conceive what you desire in spirit, sustain it by faith, and give it birth by the symbolical breath of life. There is no need here to discuss details of old texts. It is sufficient to know that, of the 4 words translated life in the New Testament, only one was used by Christ in a saying. I am the way and the life, eternal life, the Spirit of life. I come that you may have life more abundantly. That one word, which is translated life, means ever-increasingly increasing activity. The truth is clear. The breath of life is activity. Give birth to a thought and it soon dies unless you give it the breath of increasing activity. Conceive a plan and it will die before its fulfillment unless you give it this breath of life activity. Seek health, and it will lessen except you increasingly increase the activity of the Spirit in your body. Seek abundance, and it will not last unless you give both ideal and effort the breath of increasing activity. Seek the higher spiritual consciousness, and unless you give it the increasing activity of expression and action, your effort will stagnate, and you will wonder why you no longer attain as you once attained. Breathe the breath of life into all you desire to create, and it will multiply for you after its own kind forever. I am the breath of life of all I ever create. I am the way of life of all I demonstrate. Lesson 26. Dare to have abundance. Fear of expressing yourself fully is the basic cause of all poverty, material or spiritual. Daring to fully express yourself is the activating source of all material wealth and spiritual riches. Give up fear of yourself and you give up poverty. But so long as you fear yourself and repress yourself, no one knows whether or not you have any worthwhile capacities. Dare to be yourself, express yourself, and others shall recognize your value and long to employ you and pay you well and share with you as a partner. I dare to free myself forever, to be myself, reveal myself, that I shall know no want forevermore. Dare to free yourself from the bondage of thinking that all wealth is of things. Dare to realize that 9/10 of all the earnings of income and wealth today come from service of one kind or another. Dare to recognize that we are just now entering into a new era of wealth of service, in which the new wealth will be greater than any man has dreamed of in the past. Dare to know you are spirit, and have the power to reach out with desire and love in a new path of service to others. Dare to believe that all material abundance on earth and all spiritual riches of heavens are open to you. Dare to do the work you most want to do, and earth will compensate you as a king. My wealth is great, magnificently great, as mountains formed of silver and of gold, for all are God's and given unto me. Lesson 27. Give eternal life to health and youthfulness. Health is love in action. When there is ill health or lack of youthfulness, there is a lack of love and lack of activity. Cells that are ill need love to make them desire to produce new cells to replace the old ill cells. And for both health and youthfulness, cells need life. In the New Testament, the word Christ uses for life means ever-increasing activity. Hence, love and activities are the divine powers which heal each after its own kind. This makes the simple truth of healing very clear. Ill cells do not seem to need increased intelligence, for they possess such marvelous intelligence with themselves that they become well as soon as the soul gives them sufficient love and life to impel them to live. Leaders in all healing professions now realize that love and life are the two great restorers. Only your soul can give love and life to your body, for you are the God of the thousands of billions of cells of your body. They live in the love and life of your soul. Love and life do heal. I tell you of some experiences. Physically, I was born to die, not to live. My first 17 years, I was an invalid in bed or a wheelchair, never expecting to live. Muscles swollen and distorted, nerves constantly inflamed, and my heart was so defective functionally and organically that the best specialist of Europe and America, whenever they examined it, declared it could not last 3 months. Having a father of wealth with every help that could be secured on 2 continents was given me. Yet I was not healed during those early years either by medical means or mental treatment. Then there were other ill conditions due to accidents. When a child of 3 visiting with my father on a Louisiana sugar plantation, I climbed up on the sluice down which sugar stalks were fed, lost my hold and slipped. My left leg ran between the rollers and the irregular ankle bones were mashed together, and for 20 years they were but one solid bone, much like a clubfoot. Even a consecrated ideal of the divine pattern of what the ankle is in spiritual reality failed to remedy it. Then came realization of God's first law, each power producing after its own kind. The revelation at first amazed me. I had been giving thought to that ankle, but with the revelation I realized I did not give a rap whether or not the ankle ever thought any more than in the past. I wanted life in that ankle, and hence I realized that to change it, I must give it love and life. And life, Christ taught, is ever increasing activity. Today all those bones are in normal shape, move one upon another in perfect action, healed by love and life. Then my heart, it had been healed in young manhood, but 10 years ago, when I had become old in years, the heart seemed to be worn out, could no longer go on. All known scientific tests were made, fluoroscopy showed that his muscle was worn to a shred. This meant that the great nerve ganglia, which makes the heart beat, were practically gone. I did not blame the heart, but blessed it. For with many hours of work every day for many years, I knew that my heart had done more work for me than the hearts of other people living ordinary lives would do for them if they lived 280 years. The specialist said it could not last 3 days, and urged me to dictate my memos I wished to leave after my work, and to close up affairs in the little time I had left. My years were such that I accepted the condition. Hence I did not hold even one thought that the heart would continue to work on any more years in this life. But I loved every cell of the heart, and I was certain that the spirit in me would keep it going until I had finished all the memos of what should be done with my work after I had passed on. I was doing nothing but loving the heart and increasing my activity. And in dictating these memos, I became so interested in what was yet to be done, I soon had at least 20 years of work planned for the future. And my soul was longing to do that work itself. Then one day I realized that 6 weeks had passed, and my heart was functioning normally. And within a year, the same scientific tests, including fluoroscopy, showed that his muscle had been regrown. In the 10 years since, I've done more work each year than ever before, working 18 to 22 hours a day. The law is certain. Love and life heal. Do not wait to be well before increasing your activity, but increase your activity and become well. As health is love in action, so youthfulness is love with increasing activity. Slowing down is not the result of age. Age is the result of slowing down. Each lessening of activity means increase of age. Each increase of activity means increased youthfulness. Increase the spiritual responsiveness of the body, and its activity and youthfulness returns. Christ was right. We take too much thought in trying to heal bodily ills. Take no anxious thought, for love and life transcend all thoughts. Ill cells do not seem to need more intelligence. They have such amazing intelligence to live aright that if they were given love and life, miracles are wrought. With each producing after its own kind, there is no healing miracle or structural change that cannot be wrought. I am far greater than the beasts of the forest wild, which grow new fur but once a year. For hour by hour and every hour I change my body cells and grow them all new in ever-increasing youthfulness. Lesson 28. The activity of the silence. To be alone with silence is to be alone with God. But few people understand the nature of this silence. They are taught that to enter into the silence they must almost stop the activity of the body and even of the mind. But spirit is infinitely active, and to shut off activity hinders the manifestation of spirit within you. Be not deceived by mistaken reasoning. Silence is infinite activity, and the greater the activity, the nearer you approach the silence of the infinite. Be not misled. A 10-year-old auto chugging along at 8 miles an hour makes much noise. A Rolls-Royce speeding at 110 miles an hour so nearly quiet that you scarcely hear the engine. The greater the activity, the nearer to silence. So also with all energy. Sound waves are slow in that they move only 1,160 feet a second and are not silent. But light waves are silent. Their speed is electronically moving 186,000 miles per second. Then also the ordinary sounds you hear usually vibrate about 600 vibrations per second and are noisy. But the songs crystal stones sing vibrate 500,000 times a second. They approach infinite silence. O learn the truth from God's silence. That which is least active is not silent. It is the greatest activity which is silent. To enter into the silence and to live in it, do not attempt to slow down, for your soul responds only in likeness to God, and God is infinitely active. Prepare to enter into the greatest activity of the universe, so active it is the silence of the peace of God. I wing away from the slowness of earth, up to holy activity of infinite space, and there, at the altar of the silence of the stars, I am wed to the peace of infinity. Lesson 29. Are you truly spiritual? The Spirit of the Lord is in thee. Be thou perfect, even as thy Father in heaven is perfect, means more than men have yet dreamed. The word perfect is significant. P-E-R, means all the way through. Fect comes from facere, meaning to act or to do. Hence, to be perfect, as the Father is perfect, means to make spirit manifest all the way through into action. Some souls conceive ideals and stop with conception. Some love and worship their ideals and go no further. Some dream of their ideals coming true and are satisfied with mere thinking that they have been attained. But spirituality is more than acceptance of high ideals. It is more than idealized thought about spirituality. Moreover, true spirituality is not what you do not think or do not feel or do not do. True spirituality is spirit manifested in action, carried all the way through to the end of soul expression, that is, perfected in action. You have heard it said, she is a sweet soul, a very spiritual soul, but she has been ill in bed for years. Such a statement may be true of the sweetness of the soul, but not its spirituality. I wish not to seem cold and harsh in stating this, but I must be truthful, for only the truth will help you. Illness and spirituality cannot exist together, and poverty cannot exist with spirituality nor failure. So-called spirituality existing with illness or want is nothing but beautiful thought about spirituality. Spirit is infinite power, and when it manifests in action and true spirituality, there can be no illness, no want, no loneliness, no failure. If spirit is flowing through you into action, the very activity of spirit makes your body well, and life abundant and the soul happy. And if you cannot play and work 20 hours a day without fatigue, then you are not truly spiritual. And if you need to sleep 7 or 8 hours a day, you are not yet spiritual, no matter how much you try to excuse or explain it or affirm thoughts about your assumed spirituality. Spirituality is spirit in action. With true spirituality, your body is so spiritualized, so constantly thrilled with spirit, that there is little fatigue due to keeping the dead weight of matter in action. Spirit is of God, and God is infinite energy. Spirituality is spirit in action, perfected, carried through to the end, so that the matter of the body is spiritualized like unto spirit. Spirituality increases with the body's responsiveness to spirit, so that it receives and is thrilled by spirit in every cell and every organ. Ideas, thoughts, impulses are of spirit. Turn them into action and you become spiritual. Give up your old hindering thoughts about spirituality. True spirituality is more than thoughts about spirit. True spirituality is spirit in action, and action itself is divine, the perfection of spirit in man, perfect even as the Father in heaven is perfect. I let all spirit flow in, and body is transformed to soul. I let all spirit flow out, and all about is made anew. I let spirit flow its constant stream of endless power through me, till in my body cells are spirit too. 'Tis then the will of the Lord is done, in earth as it is in heaven. Lesson 30. Dwell with fire and stars. Each night I wing my way to stars to dwell in their peace and calmness. Spirit creates all things, soul and also stars. There is nothing man needs so much today as to free his mind from thought which persistently circles round in consciousness, giving him no peace. The soul's powers are four: the power of mind, of love, of life, and of spirit. In the last 500 years we have accentuated mind above all other powers. Our educational system gives 15 years to training the mind, and not 1 month to love or spirit. And now we even have religions of mentalized thought. Man's soul now needs to balance itself, for all our worries and nervousness and even fatigue come from the dominance of mind and the submergence of love and life. You know it is true. 1 moment's anticipation of great joy or the discovery of a new love can wipe out the fatigue of a day and banish the worries of a year. More is wrought by love than man yet dreams of. Since conscious mind is of the surface and love and spirit are of the depths of the soul, it is often difficult to awaken love and spirit by holding conscious thought. Since spirit creates all things, I know that all things come from spirit and are good. Hence I use all things as approaches to spirit. And so I live with fire and dwell with stars. I sit before the fire, my friend, and find the harmony of age-long loves of earth. I walk beneath the stars, my friend, and find the peace and power of God himself. Think not that fire is but fire, and stars but stars. Each is the approach to the spirit that manifests it. Man's deepest loves have been involved in consciousness around the fire, love of home and family around the hearth fire, love of fellow man around the campfire, love of God before the altar fire. To approach the higher love, forget the conscious mind. Sit often before the open fire, my friend. You know how it quiets thought and awakens love when members of a family have been bickering all day, and then gather round the hearth fire at evening. They first try and talk, then thoughts are often still, conversation lacks, and shortly minor differences are forgotten, and each feels a sweet unconscious harmony. I lull my conscious mind to rest in age-old loaves of heartful stone, and of campfires and of altar, and heart commune with heart in silent harmony, and dwell with the stars as an approach to the peace and power of spirit. The stars are so many billions of miles far away and so gigantic that they stretch the imagination so that mind cannot even think small thoughts when out beneath them. Walk beneath the stars, and you lose all consciousness of petty things and all worry. Mind surrenders its dominance, and spirit inspires you, calming you, so that you live in the peace and power of the infinite space of stars, space of the infinite itself. I wing my way up to the stars, the gigantic stars of heaven, to find there the heights of godhood. I sense my soul's grandeur now, with God and his stars around me, with God and the stars. And now my soul knows the peace of stars that are born in silence, the peace, sweet peace, of stars that are born in silence. Lesson 31. Keep to the royal road. Light is like light, sound like sound, spirit like spirit. It cannot be otherwise. Each is like to the source from which it comes, and I, made in his image, am like to God. I cannot be otherwise. Millions of people spend 9/10 of their hours and effort striving to attain that which they do not want once it is attained. This is man's supreme folly. The waste of such striving is found in all effort, but mostly in working all your life to earn enough to be able to pay enough, to get what you do not want enough to enjoy it once you have it. It is very silly, for God gave you rule and dominion over all things, and Christ came that you might have life more abundant, that his joy be fulfilled in you. Accept his purpose of life for you. All things for which you strive, if they fail to bring free life and impulsive joy, are not worth attaining. Attain position, and there is empty gap between you and others. Attain power, and you are soon mangled by it. Attain wealth, and you are smothered by the crowds of those who do not love you. Ye cannot enter heaven except as a little child. All disappointments and discouragement and disillusionment of life are naught but loss of life and joy possessed by the child. Regain the royal road. There are but 7 goals the soul doth most desire. They are the goals of life and joy. First, every fulfilled joy comes from activity of soul or mind or body. You want activity first. You want the joy of activity so much that when you have suppressed it unto death within yourself, you will even work long hours to earn enough to pay to see substitutes the free activity of others in games and sports, and on the stage, and even its ghosts of action on the silver screen of the movies. And next, you want sustenance, and from sustenance health. You want both the bread of the baker and the bread of life, one for body and one for the soul. Love freely as a king, and the body will be well. I am a king and an emperor of body and soul. No other kingdoms of earth compare with mine. I am the king of many thousand realms, and emperor of 100,000 billion lives. They are my body's cells, and I, their king of emperor. I love them all, and they love me. And there is peace in all my empires, and health in all my empires. Third, you want to laugh. How tragic that you can no longer laugh freely and impulsively. I consecrate myself to Christ's sweet joy of life, to laughter first above all else. For souls that do not laugh are lost. I consecrate myself to joy, to free myself from strain and strife, in reaching all great goals of life. Next, you want others, friendships increasing with the years instead of fewer friendships year by year. And fifth, you long for love, to love and to be loved. And then you want forever to expand your life. O soul, what empty substitutes you have accepted in this, substitutes for all joys of new adventures you might have. The learning of some new subject every year as when you were young, the joy of endless research in all new things, and freedom in making little things you desire design, and in winging afar in spirit up to the stars. And lastly, you long to worship. Life is empty till you find high ideals in yourself, to lift you up to that which is beyond all you have as yet attained. These are the goals you most desire, and all of them are free to you except mere food. For food, all that you need is 1 little acre of God's earth and a half-hour a day, and all other great goals are free to those who travel the royal road. Not a single hour of your life need to be given to earn even 1 cent to pay for the other joys. And even when you strive to earn enough to pay, you still miss the joy of your own life. You pay only for substitutes in the lives of others. Why strive as serfs of time and slaves of mind? Keep to the royal road, it leads to life and joy. You want full and free activity, to laugh impulsively and often, to feel the joy of others near, to love and be loved, to be free to expand in expressing yourself, to worship. What else worthwhile can you desire? In truth, and its magnificent simplicity will make freedom possible. Oh, doubt it not, the truth will make you free. You need not strive to earn to pay for any joy of action which your body loves, to run in wooded fields, leap free of brooks, swim, dive, dance. All real joys of life are free. Truth in its magnificent simplicity can make you free of all anxious thought and all wasteless striving. Look to the silent stars, O soul, and vision their vision of life anew, the goals that thou dost most desire. List to the wisdom of the ages, and choose with certainty the royal road that leadeth on to life and joy. Learn the more of truth, to love the more, to help the more, to move and laugh and sing freely, to grow as lilies grow, not worrying but reaching toward the sun till you are free of all fears. Know the love of brothers everywhere, and hold sweet communion with all life, and find peace and love and joy and power in oneness with the infinite. End of lesson. End of book.